Do you have body issues? Let me ask you, if you're a woman watching today, I bet you do have body issues. I have body issues. I have had body issues my entire life. And today's guest on Nurturing Big Ideas today is going to tell us a little bit about how to deal successfully and well with them. Aimee Beltran is the CEO and founder of Irresistible YOUniversity, which is an online learning community that empowers women to create irresistible lives. So we're going to talk about the word irresistible quite a bit today. She hosts an Irresistible You podcast. She writes some blogs that have the word irresistible in them. And she's the author of this amazing journal called the Irresistible You Journal. And it's a way to create an irresistible life you can't resist. Aimee, welcome to Nurturing Big Ideas today. You look stunning.
Oh, thanks, Yvonne. You do too. We're both in our purple. So I'm excited about this. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I one of the fascinating things about having you on today and talking with you is how you have really taken that concept of an irresistible you and kind of run with it in a way that helps women like myself and a lot of others learn to be irresistible as we are. I want you to talk now about why you chose the word irresistible.
Definitely. So that word, it's funny because back in the day, back in 2010, when I was coming up with this name for my blog, I knew that I wanted to chronicle. At the time, I was on like a really big weight loss journey for my wedding. But I also knew I wanted to chronicle so for my entire life, I have dealt with body image issues, with my weight, with just not liking how I look, no matter what size I was at. And I knew that I wanted to chronicle that and talk about it. And my food of choice, I guess you could say, when I want to have a binge or just indulge is icing. I don't care about the cake. I don't care about any of that piece. Just give me the buttercream icing. And I knew that I wanted to use that word. And I was like, okay, so what's another I word that will help describe what it is that I'm trying to help women with? And I went through, as you can probably relate to this, like I had this list of every word that started with I. We were just like, nope, that doesn't make sense. Nope, that doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden, I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I woke up, I had to go to the bathroom, and I was washing my hands. And this is like the craziest story. The hand soap, I just happened to look at the name of it, and it was called like Irresistible Apple, I think it was. And I was like, that is the word. That was the one word I had not thought of yet. And I was like, that describes everything from the stories about binge eating on food that you find irresistible to how to actually look and feel irresistible in your own skin. It just kind of like encompassed all of those things that I talk about and that I wanted to help other women to deal with as well. So that's the funny story of where that word actually came from. And once I landed on it, it just has become such a big part of my business. And it really encompasses all of the things about empowerment, not only for yourself, but for other people and how you feel, not just how you look, but how you feel.
Well, I really like that, what you said, how you feel, not just how you look. And one of the things that I've learned from being in your community is that you have a really good understanding of the concept of how we feel, body image, not just related to weight. I think even women who are skinny have issues with weight because either they want to gain weight or they don't want to stay skinny or whatever it is. But then there's this other issue of age. Age can be an issue. And I really love the community and the way that everyone interacts and talks about and tells the stories of their body issues, body image. And talk to me about Irresistible YOUniversity itself and the ways that you're helping women like myself and women like yourself with their body image.
Definitely. Yeah. So before I go into Irresistible University, that was one of my biggest learning points when I first started this journey online is, my story and my perspective doesn't come from someone who's like traditionally thin. So I don't have that perspective. But in meeting the women that I talked to and that I helped over the years, that was one of the biggest aha moments for me was like, because when I first started early on, when this whole thing first came together, I was still really on my own personal development journey too, like when I was really getting started. And one of my big aha moments was body image doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what size you are. And, I was shocked when I had women coming to me, which when you would see them traditionally, people would think, oh, they have, what we call quote unquote the perfect body, which actually doesn't exist. But women that you would see that are traditionally thin and even in shape, and they're like, I feel the exact same way you do. And that like blew my mind. And it made me realize how much of an epidemic body image is, and it has nothing to do with weight. And that's another reason why women, even people that lose like tons of weight, hundreds of pounds, they get to their goal or they get to where they thought they wanted to be. And the same mental struggles are still going on because they didn't deal with that. And so that's the big piece that I help women with Irresistible University. And I've coined the term emotional weight. And emotional weight is what I'm really helping them to lose, because we don't do weight loss. We don't talk about, diet. We don't talk about how to lose the weight. But what I'm helping them with is losing the emotional weight. And you can have hundreds of pounds of emotional weight no matter what size you are. And so this is the reason why people, a great example is like, for me, I lost a ton of weight leading up to my wedding. And I was only focused on, I got to look good for the dress. I got to look good for the dress. Let me get the weight off. And as soon as the wedding was over and something pretty traumatic happened, I went right back into the food, and I binged for days and weeks and months, and the weight all came back on because even though I had lost a lot of my weight, the feelings had never gone away because I didn't address those. And so that's the thing that really matters to me to help women with, because that doesn't just go away because you got the weight off, or that doesn't go away because you got Botox. That doesn't go away because you had plastic surgery. Like I even have a student who, she lost a ton of weight. She's had certain tummy tucks and other surgeries, but she still was struggling with how to really love herself, even though her body looks so different today than it does, a couple of years ago. So that's really what Irresistible University is about. I have courses and coaching that I help women with, and that's what we address. Is we address the emotional weight, which there's a lot of layers to that. There's a lot of layers to that.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. I mean, the layers of body image that women go through are so completely different than men. It isn't that we don't believe men have it. Some men probably do, but generally speaking, sometimes I find it laughable. A man who has put on a few pounds still thinks he's the stud he was when he was in high school. I mean, it doesn't change. Their thinking is that, well, any woman would be so glad to be with me, and that's fine. But women are completely different. And the sad thing is, I think maybe you can speak to this, the sad thing is that it starts in grade school, and it starts with young girls. And I don't know how, so I'm looking to you for advice. I don't know how to make sure that my granddaughter, for instance, who dances and does gymnastics and just is this all-around terrific little girl, and we compliment her and we give her that power and tell her she's powerful. I just have my fingers crossed, and I think, well, when she's in 7th grade, this is all going to change.
Yeah, and it does. It starts in grade school, and it did for me too. Like I have my very first memory of, I want to say it was 3rd grade, of a boy coming up to me, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know that you're not like the other girls in class. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're fat. And it was just very like matter of fact, I'm just going to tell you like it is. And it was just, I mean, I'm 37 and that memory is clear as a bell, because those things start at a very, very young age and they stay with us for a very long time. And I have worked through those things. That was a big piece of my healing. And the thing that I call emotional weight was like carrying around all of those words and those things that sting. I had to go through that and deal with it. but it scares me as the mom of a little girl. Like, she's 2 now, but I know. So the thing about it is, Yvonne, is like, we're not going to be able to stop the comments. We're not going to be able to stop the media and the things that they're going to go through, but we have to prep them in the best way possible to let them know that that is not the only thing that matters, and that the messages and the comments and the things that come at them, they don't mean anything. And that's the piece, because I think about that too with my daughter. Like, I'm not going to be able to stop her from feeling or thinking a certain way, but I'm going to try to prevent it as much as I can, and to give her the tools and the ammunition, if you will, to help get through that stage of her life. And I also think that it's getting easier, but it also, that could be, it's an interesting place that we're at right now, because I always like to talk about, for me, like, I grew up as a teen in the 90s, and in the 90s, MTV was everything. MTV and, you remember 17 magazine. And those were like the only ways that you got access to seeing other people, other bodies. That's how you saw, like, beauty advice and fashion advice, because we didn't have the option of what media we really wanted to consume, because it was either TV or it was a magazine. And those options, they didn't have a lot of diversity in those different publications. So now, with having social media, with having other options out there, where a lot of the, even the clothing lines are coming out with more plus size lines, and they're being more inclusive of different body styles and even different ethnicities. They're really covering all of those things. So I'm saying this because I'm hoping that with the young girls that are growing up now, that will also help combat some of those feelings. And then seeing, because when you can see yourself in someone else, it's really powerful. And when you grow up and you never see anyone that you look up to that looks like you, it feels isolating. And then you couple that on top of hearing those types of comments and always getting the dieting messages everywhere you go, and you feel like there's no place for me, I don't fit in, and I'm worthless because I don't look like them. So I think in a way it's helping, like, but I also know there could be the comparison game with social media, which that's a whole nother thing too.
Oh yeah, we do have that social media thing. My granddaughter calls me on her phone, almost every night, and sometimes I'm too tired, and I'm like, I don't have the energy, Frankie, to have this long conversation, because she's one of those amazing people that she can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I sometimes just sit here and listen, because she doesn't care if you answer her back. She just talks.
Yeah. Just talk.
I'm in awe of it. I'm like, wow, how do you do that? But yeah, back to the comparison. In 3rd and 4th grade, I was called olive oil. So that was it. I mean, yeah, it bothered me a little bit, but I wasn't at that time interested in boys, so who cared? And then high school came, and I became Sophia Loren, and that was a good thing.
Wow, yeah.
Except that then you become this quote unquote sex symbol, and you're 15 years old, and you have to deal with that. And then everything changed when I hit menopause. Oh dear. In the end, it is a uniquely woman's problem, because we have to say, from some of the reading I've done, I'm sure you have also, that hormones play a big, big part in the way we look, the way we think, the way we gain weight or don't gain weight, in our metabolism. And I'm sorry, men don't have those hormones.
Right.
So it's so within this whole concept of Irresistible You and your Irresistible You podcast and your Irresistible You blog and your Irresistible Pets, tell me a little bit about how you have reinvented yourself, because I know that you have. I know that even though you pulled in and adopted and built this wonderful, amazing brand of Irresistible You, you've done a lot of different things, and it isn't just Aimee has always been this.
Right. No, it's an evolution, right? And so it's an interesting question when people ask me, like, well, how long have you been doing this? And it's like, the whole Irresistible You concept around the course and all of that actually started in 2011. And I launched it And I laugh when I say the word launch, because the way that I thought you launched something then, the way that I'm doing things now is completely different. And so when I went back to the drawing board a few years ago to say, okay, this thing has always kept you up at night. This thing has always been on the back burner because life, right? Like, you have to make money. And so for a lot of times, like, this always got put on the back burner because there were other priorities that I needed to focus on in my career, my business, to actually make an income and bring in the money. And when you're brewing a new idea, it doesn't bring money in the beginning. So you have to, it's a side hustle. And I'm always the queen of side hustling. But a few years back when I was like, all right, we got to really think about this and let's make it work. And I went back to the original concept and the content, and some of it was laughable, but the heart and soul of what it is, that never changed. And that to me was like, okay, you're onto something, because at the heart of it, that is the thing that has stayed like consistent through all the years, through all the side hustle, through all the evolving and, pivoting. And I went back and like really refined the content and what it is I wanted to share and what the whole framework looked like. And so that to me was comforting to know, like, it was this and you probably get this, it's like this nagging feeling that never goes away, where I'm like, I have to do this. This is what I want to do. And I feel like I'm doing a disservice, not only to myself, but to people that I know that can benefit from it. And to people that don't understand that probably sounds strange, but I know people watching this really can connect to that. It was like that wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning of like, how am I going to do this? I have to figure this out. And so it was always this nagging feeling that just didn't go away, no matter what pivots I took. And I've taken a lot of those in the last like 9 to 10 years. So,
well, one of the things I think that you're saying, and I know what helps when you're reinventing yourself or you're pivoting, and most of us, when we do that, are just like you, Aimee. We take something that we've always loved, or I was doing work with women long before you and I met. And then I had this little bump in between, what we call blog pause. What blog pause was working with women. The bloggers were mainly women. And then I went back to what I'm doing now with nurturing big ideas. But the reality is that when we do that, we look for the tools, and we look for the help, and we look for the education. And we cannot go out and educate others and offer we have our experiences, but everything changes over the years. So 10 years ago, things, like you said, they weren't the way they are now. Tell us about some of the things you've done to pull in the learning that you needed to have.
I love that question, because there was many times where I felt like I'm failing because I had this idea and it hasn't launched and it hasn't gone the way I wanted it to. But then I would think, you know why? It's because you as a person, you weren't ready for that to happen. And when I think back to where I was, let's say 2010, 2011, when I launched my blog and I launched the course originally, I had not gone through yet some of the experiences that now have shaped the content of the course. And I feel like it was all still premature. And it's like the universe knew that. And so to have all of that life experience under my belt, I think has made the integrity of the program better. It's made me better. It's made me understand. And through those couple of years is where I had some of my aha moments about, it's not about the weight. Because in 2010, that's still kind of where my mind was at. So I had these aha moments because I went through situations that taught me that I had to really dive a little bit deeper. And that's where I had like one of my lowest moments. And I went to therapy and I started dealing with all the things that I had never dealt with in terms of that emotional weight. And if I had never gone through all of that, I don't feel like the program could be as solid. It wouldn't have been as solid as it is today. So I think we get so hung up on how we think things are supposed to go. And when they're not going the way that you want them to, that's when that stress and that anxiety comes in of like, you want to be here, but you're right here at the moment. But if you just surrender to it and know that it's going to be okay and things are going to reveal themselves in time, you keep pressing forward, you keep working on it. And that's kind of been my journey with this. And all of a sudden it just felt like all the timing, all the things are aligning the way they're supposed to. And that doesn't mean in a year from now, probably even 6 months from now, the program will evolve. And I continue to make changes and improvements to it. And that's just part of the game, really, right?
Yeah, that's part of moving forward. I think you need to be flexible and agile and all those words that we hear out there in the universe. But I really like that you said the universe listens. It's a case of ask and you shall receive in some ways. But I tell people that doesn't mean you're sitting at your desk saying, I want to be famous or I want to be successful. You have to ask for specifics, you know. I'm creating a program, universe. I want to get this out. You know, what do I need to do? And the universe will help you. Well, Aimee, this has been just one of the best talks. And I do want to show this again. I want people to see this, the Irresistible You Journal. You'll see mine is not filled in because I have a little notebook that I write in. I don't like to write inside. I could probably only write one word the way I write in those little spaces. But the reality is, and it's pretty private, but it's pretty, the thing is, using this book, you learn so much about yourself. And when you do, I feel that you have more to offer the universe as a woman and as a human being. So Aimee, thank you for the book. Thank you for being on the show. And we will do this again down the road. We'll talk further.
Yes, I would love to. This was fun. And this is the stuff that I'm passionate about, and I can talk about it for hours. So anytime, we'll get back on.
Awesome. Yes, I think it's so important. Body image, folks. Aimee Beltran from Irresistible YOUniversity, a learning community for women primarily, but you know, she'll work with men, right? I mean,
I actually don't, but
no,
I mean,
just women?
So here's what I would suggest: if there are men watching, is this the type of content that's going to be useful for any of the women in your life? Okay. You know, and so I think if that is the case, like send them to the site, send them into the group, because, you know, there's a lot of men out here that I know watch, and they have, whether it's a wife or a girlfriend or a sister or a mom or what have you, that you know women. And I actually don't think there's women that don't struggle with body image. I think it's more common that people are admitting. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So this is Yvonne DiVita, Nurturing Big Ideas Today. Aimee, we will see you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.